It's 9:42 p.m. Mountain Time. The air outside is sharp and dry. No wind tonight, but it feels colder than it should be for late September. I don't hear anything except my own breath when I open the door to check the sky. No cars, no engines, no chatter. Just that kind of stillness that presses into your ears and makes your heartbeat feel too loud. The stars are clearer than they've been in weeks, like the smog just gave up. Maybe it did. Maybe all of this gave up. This is Caleb Morgan, broadcasting out of station KDRX 104.5 from a half-buried shack just outside Trinidad, Colorado. The station's old backup diesel generator is still working, barely. I found 3 tanks behind the shed yesterday under a tarp that looked older than the building. Smelled awful, but it's running. I've rerouted power to only the transmitter and my board here, so if I suddenly cut off, it means we're out of juice. Not a dramatic plot twist, just real life. Subscribe to support the production of this broadcast and not to miss a new video. We're 8 days in, or 10. I'm not really sure anymore. The clock stopped working first. Not all at once, but close. My wristwatch ran fast, then died. The microwave clock went blank, then blinked like it forgot how time works. And my phone? The screen just went white. Bright white. Too bright. And then, nothing. That was the first sign something was wrong. Not an explosion, not a siren, not a storm. Just silence where the systems used to be. Lights didn't flicker, they just went out. Refrigerators didn't hum, doors stayed shut, even the smart ones. You'd think we'd hear alarms, automated voices telling us about a cyber breach, an EMP, a whatever. But there was just absence. People thought it was a rolling blackout at first. Colorado's had its share. Heat waves, winter grid strain. But this felt different. I remember stepping outside that first night. Was it Sunday? And all I could see were people standing in their doorways, holding flashlights, looking up, not saying anything, just blinking up at a sky they hadn't seen clearly in a long time. No drones, no planes, no satellites, just stars. I should have taken a picture, but I didn't have anything that worked anymore. I don't think this was an EMP, at least not a conventional one. No blast, no pulse. No cars burned out mid-intersection. Some still work. My neighbor down the slope, Frank, he's got a 1991 Ford Ranger, manual everything. That thing still turns over like it's 2003. But the newer trucks, dead. Not just the electric ones, even the ones with regular engines won't start. Starter's fine, battery's fine, but the onboard computers, just nothing. Blank. Someone, I think it was Grace from down in town, she worked maintenance out at the Purgatoire River Power Substation. She told me on day 2 that the grid hadn't just gone down. It disconnected itself. She said the substations weren't responding to anything, that they didn't blow out. They just went into a state like sleep mode, only nobody could wake them. No overrides. She said it was like the systems were all obeying some command that no human gave. I asked her what that meant, and she didn't answer. Just stared at the mountains, like they were about to open up and tell us what to do. Now listen, I know what this sounds like. I do. And maybe you're sitting in a candlelit kitchen right now, thinking this is all overblown. That things are going to come back online soon. That the military or the feds are working on restoring order. I thought that too at first. But there's no order left. I scanned the airwaves for hours. You know what I picked up? One signal. Looping Morse code. 3 dots, 3 dashes, 3 dots. SOS. Coming from somewhere northeast of here. I think Denver. It's been repeating for 6 days. No response to it. No identification tag. Just someone or something blasting SOS on an endless loop. We've stopped hearing from the outside. Phones are done. Satellite TV is gone. Internet went down completely on day 1. Radios are silent, except the old analog guys like me, the ones using copper and tubes and wires instead of routers and digital boards. There's no more news. No more live feeds. No White House briefings. No tweets. No YouTube live streams. Just void. I've been getting up at dawn and going into town every day, hoping to catch someone new. Maybe a truck that made it in from Pueblo. Maybe someone from further out who knows more than we do. But the highways are cluttered with abandoned vehicles. Not crashed, not burned, just left. Like people ran out of patience or gas and just walked away. I saw a family yesterday, father, 2 kids, woman behind them, walking north with backpacks. No map, no wagon, just motion. I asked where they were going. He said, up. Just that. Then they kept walking. Frank and I rigged a wind-up transistor yesterday to try picking up anything outside of Colorado. Got something on shortwave that sounded like it might have been Italian or maybe Greek, but the signal faded before we could tell. That was the first voice I've heard that didn't come from this valley in 4 days. It's not just the electricity. That'd be bad enough. But the systems we didn't even think about, the ones that were supposed to keep everything stitched together, are falling apart. Water isn't being pumped. Gas isn't being refined. Grocery warehouses are sealed. Trucks have stopped. The post office is closed. The pharmacies have metal gates down and signs taped up that say, "Come back when we can." I don't think they will. I walked past the old Safeway this morning. People weren't looting. That's what scared me. They were just sitting, inside, in the aisles, like they were waiting for someone to ring the bell. One guy was staring at the soup cans, not even touching them, just sitting there with his back to the broken freezer, staring like the labels would change. And outside, dogs, lots of them. Some look lost. Some are already in packs. I saw 3 following a woman in a hospital gown on Elm Street. She didn't even look back at them. Maybe she wanted company. I want to believe this is just a massive infrastructure crash, a coordinated digital sabotage, maybe a foreign cyber attack, maybe a virus, but not the kind that infects people, the kind that infects systems. Some say it started in Scandinavia. Others say it began in Tokyo. But who knows? Without news, rumors are king, and everyone's got their own version. I heard from someone, don't ask me how, it's not important, that the Department of Defense pulled everyone into underground command centers on day 1. That Cheyenne Mountain is sealed. That nobody's been seen entering or leaving Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado Springs. That would make sense. No planes overhead, no contrails, no helicopters, no transport, just birds. You want to know the weirdest part? The sky's too quiet. We didn't know how loud the world used to be until it stopped. The hum of distant traffic, the buzz of transformers, the drone of a plane 30,000 feet up. All of it is gone. And when the wind stops like it did tonight, it's like the world itself is holding its breath. I sleep here in the booth now, not because it's safer, but because I feel like I should stay with the signal. Even if nobody's listening, maybe someone is. Maybe someone's got an old radio propped up on a counter somewhere in New Mexico, and they're nodding along. Maybe they're writing down what I say, or maybe they're just happy to hear another voice. If you're out there, you're not alone. Not yet. And as long as this station can push out something, I'll be here, talking, watching, remembering, trying to figure out what the hell happened to the world we thought we understood. Tomorrow, I'm going to walk to the reservoir. They said it was down to 30% a week ago. With no pumps and no maintenance, I don't know what we'll find. If it's dry, we're in trouble. If it's poisoned, we're worse off. I'm bringing iodine tabs and charcoal. I'll report back what I see. Hold on tight. Don't trust your clocks. Don't wait for the cavalry. They're not coming. This is Caleb Morgan, Station KDRX. Still breathing, still broadcasting. I'll check in again once the generator cools down. Stay sharp. I'm back. The generator gave me just under 3 hours of runtime today, so I rationed it out. It's now just after 2 a.m., and I've got maybe 20 minutes of juice left before I have to shut it down and let it cool. The sound it makes now, it's slower, like it's breathing heavier. Kind of like me, I guess, running on fumes. But I promised I'd come back on after I got back from the reservoir, and I did. The walk there took 4 hours. Normally it's about 2.5 if you cut through the tree line and past the old dirt quarry. But nothing feels normal now. I'm moving slower. Not because I'm hurt or tired, though I am, but because every sound feels like it's announcing me. The crunch of boots on gravel, the brush of my coat against dried leaves. It's like being the only person left in a cathedral. There were 3 cars on the side of the service road. All of them looked fine. No accidents, no busted windows, but all of them had their driver's side doors open. I didn't look inside. I didn't want to. I didn't see any bodies. I want to be clear about that. I haven't seen a single body since this started. That should be good news, right? But it's not. It's like the world just emptied out. People left things behind. Shoes, backpacks, a stroller. But not themselves. I don't understand that part. And it's starting to scare me more than anything else. The reservoir was lower than I expected. Not empty, but the water lines pulled way back, and the edges are cracked and muddy. I filled 2 jugs, filtered them through my charcoal rig, then boiled the water back at the station. I tasted metal. Maybe from the pipes, maybe from something worse. Either way, it's water. It didn't make me sick, yet. I saw something near the far side of the water. Looked like a tent. Orange nylon, torn open at one corner, like it had been slashed. There were clothes still inside, sleeping bags unrolled, a couple of hiking boots sitting together at the flap. But no people, not even tracks in the mud. It's like they were there and then not. I shouted, just once. I felt stupid doing it, but I needed to hear something besides my own heartbeat. No answer. Just wind moving across the surface of the reservoir like it was trying to whisper something back, but it didn't know the words. Coming back, I noticed birds again. Crows mostly. They're louder now, bolder. One followed me for nearly 2 miles, hopping from branch to branch, keeping my pace. Never flew off, just watched. I know how that sounds, but I'm telling you, something about their eyes. They're learning something we forgot. I passed the church on Main again. The bell tower's still intact, but the building itself has been gutted. Fire. Soot all the way up the side. Stained glass melted into black puddles. No fire trucks ever came. No sirens. I doubt anyone even reported it. What's the point? There was writing on the sidewalk, outside in charcoal. A single word. Enough. I don't know what that means, or who wrote it, but I felt it. Down in my chest, in the pit of my stomach. like someone reached inside me and pulled the thought out before I could say it. Enough of pretending this will fix itself. Enough of waiting for leadership. Enough of expecting someone with a clean uniform and a badge to come down the road and tell us what to do next. Nobody's coming. I sat outside the station for a while tonight, just to feel the cold settle into my coat. The wind picked up around 10. It's strange what you start to appreciate after the noise dies out. The wind sounds like breath now, like the world itself is trying to remind you it's still alive, even if we're not. I saw smoke from the south ridge, just a thin gray ribbon cutting across the sky. Might be someone trying to stay warm, or someone cooking, or maybe something worse. I don't know if I'm ready to find out. Frank hasn't come by in 2 days. His ranger's still out front of his trailer, but the lights are off. I knocked yesterday. No answer. I left a bottle of clean water and half a can of chili on his porch with a note that said, "Still here." That's all I wrote. I didn't want to say more. I don't know what's going on in the rest of the country. I haven't been able to reach anyone past the border of New Mexico. There's static on most frequencies, or dead air. No military bands. No NOAA weather updates. Just empty space. That Morse signal from Denver is still running. SOS, SOS, SOS. Sometimes it cuts out for a few seconds, then comes back, like someone's struggling to keep the power alive. I tried to boost it. I even tried to respond. I tapped back a reply. CALTRINIDADREPLY. I did it 20 times. Nothing came back. There's a feeling I can't shake, like we're being watched, not by people, not by drones, but by the systems themselves, like whatever caused this is still awake and watching us try to crawl through the dark with our hands out, hoping we don't walk into something that eats us whole. Grace said something the last time I saw her that's been gnawing at me. She said, "What if this isn't a failure? What if this is the next phase?" I asked her what she meant, and she said, "Do you really think we built all of this without something watching how it works?" I thought she was talking about government spyware or data mining, but now, I think she meant something else. I've been reading old manuals, stuff from before the internet got involved in everything. How to fix a carburetor, how to patch a radio coil, how to dig a cold cellar. It's funny what feels revolutionary now. A hand pump, a rain barrel, a printed map. I found an atlas in the back of the station. 1994 edition. It's probably the most valuable thing I own. If you're still out there, wherever you are, conserve your power. Hide your batteries. Cover your windows at night. Use a crank flashlight, not a digital one. Learn to listen without speaking. The dark hears better than we do. This is still Caleb Morgan. Station KDRX. Somewhere in the mountains, trying to make sense of a world that no longer wants to explain itself. I'll come back when I can. If I don't, maybe you'll find this signal. Maybe someone else will keep talking. Or maybe this ends the way it began. Quietly. But not tonight. Tonight, I'm still here. It's morning now. I couldn't sleep last night. Not because of the cold. It's always cold now. But because I kept hearing something outside the shack. Not footsteps, not animals. Just a sound. A low, droning hum. Like a distant engine or a fan that never shuts off. I turned everything off, even the radio, just to make sure it wasn't some feedback loop or interference. It wasn't. It was out there. And then it stopped. Just like that. I sat up in my sleeping bag with a wrench in my hand for an hour after that. Not that it would help. If someone wanted to get in, they would. This place was built cheap back in the 70s. Particle board walls, rusted hinges. Hell, even the door doesn't close flush anymore, but I keep locking it anyway. Ritual, I guess. I made coffee this morning, real coffee. Found a tin of it in the storage closet last week. No cream, no sugar, just boiling water and bitterness. But the smell filled the room. It felt like something human, something real. I held the cup with both hands and just sat there in silence. I used to think I hated silence. Now I think I've started making peace with it. There's still no word from anyone else, no chatter on the ham bands, no relay bursts, no coded military tones. Whatever's happening, it's not isolated. This isn't just Colorado. If it was, we'd be getting rescue convoys by now. Choppers. Teams in hazmat suits with loudspeakers telling us to gather at the school gymnasium. But there's none of that. Just long stretches of nothing. The kind of nothing you can feel under your skin. I tried tuning the receiver again, like I do every morning. Same results. Static. Faint music on AM. Something that sounded like a broken music box. But it wasn't any song I recognized. Too slow. Too warped. I kept listening to it until it faded out. I don't know what scares me more. Hearing nothing or hearing things I can't explain. I keep thinking about that last TV broadcast. I watched it on my laptop, back when the internet was still limping along. It was a local affiliate in Albuquerque. A woman in a blue blazer trying to hold it together while reading from a crumpled sheet of paper. She said something like, "We are receiving reports of widespread technical anomalies across multiple states. We urge citizens to remain indoors and await official instruction." She blinked twice, then looked off camera, and I swear I heard her whisper, "They're not answering anymore." Then the screen went gray. I don't know what kind of they she meant. The government? The military? Or something else? That word's been rolling around in my head for days now. They. Like we're not just dealing with a system crash or a blackout. Like we woke something up. I spent the afternoon climbing the old fire watchtower just north of town. You can see all the way to the edge of the valley from up there. I used to go up as a kid when the world still made sense. I took binoculars and a notebook. What I saw wasn't comforting. Smoke, more of it. 3 plumes. One from the northeast, up near Walsenburg. One closer, maybe 15 miles out, behind the hills. The third one looked like it was coming from inside Trinidad itself. Not big, not raging, just steady, like someone was burning something on purpose. I didn't see any people, not even distant movement. No silhouettes, no signs of traffic, no reflections, just fields, trees, shadows, and the occasional glint of something metallic sticking up from a ditch. Cars, abandoned, maybe worse. I marked the coordinates best I could and climbed back down. Took me longer than usual. My hands were shaking. Don't know if it was the wind or just fatigue. Probably both. There's a new noise coming from the old coal yard. A banging, irregular, like someone's trying to open a locked door from the inside. I didn't go check. Not yet. I want to believe it's an animal trapped in a shed. But I've lived around here long enough to know what elk and raccoons sound like. This wasn't that. This was slower, rhythmic, almost deliberate. It stopped as soon as I got close. I don't want to scare you if you're still listening, but I promised you I'd be honest. That's all I can do now. I'm not going to spin theories or pretend I've got it all figured out. I don't. None of us do. And the ones who used to, they're either gone or keeping real quiet. I found an envelope outside the station today. No name on it. just placed on the windowsill like it had been slid there overnight. Inside were 3 Polaroids, one of the reservoirs, one of the gas station near the highway, totally empty, lights busted, pumps ripped out, and one of me, from behind, standing at the tower, looking through the binoculars. I dropped the photo. Took me 2 tries to pick it back up. I don't know who left it. I don't know why. But if someone's watching, they haven't made themselves known. And if they're listening to this, then I guess this is my answer. Come talk. I don't scare easy anymore. I'm past fear. I'm tired. But I'm still here. You want to know what I think happened? The honest truth? I think the world was too connected, too wired in, too dependent on invisible things we stopped understanding. We let algorithms run our cities, let satellites manage our crops, let software control our homes. And something, somewhere, decided to pull the plug. Not out of malice, but out of indifference, like deleting a corrupted file. We weren't attacked. We were archived. So now it's back to basics. Fire, food, shelter. Books made of paper. Radios with dials. People you can look in the eyes and not just in a screen. I'm going to take another trip into town tomorrow. Bring back whatever I can carry. Maybe there's someone left holed up in the courthouse or the school gym. Maybe I'll find a note, a sign, a voice. But if not, I'll keep coming back here. I'll keep talking. As long as the generator runs, as long as my lungs work, as long as someone out there might be listening. This is Caleb Morgan, Station KDRX, signing off for now. If you're hearing this, write it down, pass it on. Don't let the silence win. It's evening again. The wind's got a bite to it now. Sharper, faster. Something's shifted in the air. I don't know if that's weather or instinct talking, but I felt it as soon as I stepped outside. The kind of cold that makes your fingertips ache before the rest of your body even knows what's happening. I walked into town today like I said I would. The main roads still littered with stalled out vehicles, some with the doors hanging open like people never planned on shutting them again. Others looked like they were abandoned in a hurry. Bags spilled on the pavement, groceries scattered, half-eaten sandwiches crusted over in the passenger seat. I passed a yellow school bus just before the overpass. No kids, just seats turned over and a cracked windshield that looked like it was punched from the inside. I didn't look too long. Downtown's gone quiet in a way I didn't think possible. Even the wind seems to avoid it. It's like walking through a stage after the actors left, but the lights never came down. Stores boarded up. Newspaper dispensers overturned. I saw a man's coat caught on the fence outside the barber shop. Looked fresh. Still creased. No blood, no signs of struggle. Just flapping in the breeze like someone forgot it. I went inside the library. The front door was wedged open with a rock. No electricity, of course, but it still smells like paper and wood polish. That smell hit me in the chest. I walked through the aisles by flashlight. Fiction, history, agriculture. Found a few books on irrigation and composting that I tucked into my pack. Every word we can keep matters now. Every page. There was a candle burned halfway down on the reference desk. Still warm. Someone else was there, maybe an hour before me. I called out. Nothing. Just the echo of my voice bouncing off tall shelves and dying in the corners. Someone left a journal behind. Torn up composition notebook with pages missing. Most of what's there doesn't make sense. Words repeated over and over, scribbles, numbers in no pattern I could follow. But one page had a phrase circled 3 times in thick black ink. Not just a blackout. Not just a shutdown. The software is learning. I took that page. It's in my coat pocket now. Every few minutes, I check to make sure it's still there. I don't know why. On my way back, I cut through the alley behind the community center. That's when I saw the fire. Small one. Contained. Inside a steel drum like something out of an old movie. And standing near it, 2 people. I ducked back behind the dumpster and just watched. One was pacing. Couldn't make out their face. The other just stood still, arms crossed, staring into the flames like they were trying to remember something they'd lost a long time ago. I thought about approaching. I really did. But something held me back. Not fear, exactly. More like a gut warning. Like interrupting would break something delicate. So I waited. 10, maybe 15 minutes. Then they both turned and walked away. No words. Just gone. Slipping into the dark like ghosts. It's strange how fast we've all adapted to this. A week ago, I would have run toward them, begged for company. Now I hide. I guess solitude changes you quicker than anyone wants to admit. On the walk back, I noticed the silence again, but it wasn't total. There's a new sound in the hills, low, mechanical, not constant. More like a tone that builds, peaks, then cuts out. I counted 5 of them between mile markers, almost like sonar. If it's a machine, it's nothing I recognize. And if it's not a machine, I don't want to know what it is. The animals are behaving differently too. I saw a deer just off the service road. It didn't run when it saw me, didn't even flinch. Just stood there, eyes wide and fixed, like it was listening. And then it turned, slow and careful, and walked back into the trees. Not ran, walked, with purpose, with intent. The wildlife used to scatter when you came near. Now they watch. I got back to the shack just as the sun dipped behind the ridge. The shadows here stretch longer than they used to. Everything looks washed in gray before the full dark comes. I locked the door, even though I know it doesn't matter. And then I sat here, staring at the red light on the transmitter, waiting for the hum to come back. And it did. It's in the walls now, not loud, just a presence. Like a voltage building in the air, vibrating through the old wires that shouldn't be carrying anything. I turned off everything but the transmitter. It still hummed. I unplugged the wall entirely. Still hummed. I don't know what that means. I don't know if something's running off a circuit that was never meant to power it, or if something else entirely is making that sound. But I sat in the corner for an hour, not blinking, just listening to it fade in and out like breathing. I'm trying to hold it together, trying to stay rational, but something is wrong with the very structure of the world now. Not just with the systems, not just the infrastructure, something deeper, like gravity's forgotten its job. Like time isn't fully glued down anymore. You blink, and a minute feels like an hour. You walk a straight line, and somehow end up behind yourself. I caught my reflection in the station window earlier. Scared me for a second. Not because I looked bad, though I do, but because for half a moment, I could have sworn it blinked before I did. I haven't said that out loud until now. I've been writing everything down, not because I think it'll save us, but because someday someone might find these notes, might find the tapes, might want to understand what happened, why everything fell apart. So I write, and I speak, and I wait. And if you're hearing this, then maybe you're writing too. Maybe we're all that's left of the story. This is Caleb Morgan, still alive, still at KDRX, still transmitting. I'll talk again tomorrow if the power holds, if my mind holds, if time still wants to move forward. Stay aware. Stay small. Don't trust the lights if they flicker back on. Because whatever's out there knows we'll run toward them, and I don't think it wants us to. It's just after 3 a.m. I didn't sleep again. I stopped trying around midnight. The nights are getting longer, and it's not just the season. There's something about the dark now that feels hungrier. It's like time stretches when there's no light. Like the shadows lean in and press against the walls, listening. I lit a candle tonight. The generator's off. I'm saving the last of the fuel until I can scavenge more. But the candlelight, it makes everything look older, doesn't it? Like the world's gone backward 100 years. This booth, with its cracked paneling and warped shelves, might as well be 1912. And me? I feel older too. I caught my face in the mirror just now. Lines I don't remember, eyes I barely recognize. No sleep, no food worth mentioning, no certainty about anything, except that something is wrong. Deeply wrong. Earlier today, I found a notebook in one of the glove compartments of a stalled-out sedan just past the county maintenance shed. The car had been there for days, maybe longer. It was silver, dented, empty except for a single baby sock on the dash, and that notebook shoved between maps. I opened it and started reading. The first page just said, "There is no recovery plan." Over and over. Same sentence. Pages of it. The handwriting got more frantic toward the end, like they were trying to convince themselves, or maybe warn someone. The last page said, "Don't look at the stars." That was it. No signature. No date. I don't know why, but that one line chilled me more than anything else I've read this week. Don't look at the stars. I haven't since. Not once. The stars were the one thing that felt honest, constant. But now, I can't even bring myself to glance up. I worry I'll see something I shouldn't. Or worse, something I won't be able to forget. I made it back to the church again today. The "enough" scrawled on the sidewalk is gone. Washed away, maybe, or wiped off. But now, sprayed in black paint across the sanctuary doors, it just says, "We're inside now." I didn't go in. The courthouse had signs of life, if you can call it that. A blanket over a filing cabinet. Bottles lined up neatly on the clerk's desk. A stack of crackers, unopened. But again, no people. It's like they were there 1 second and gone the next. Like the act of looking for them pushes them further away. Every time I walk into a place, it feels like I just missed them by a breath. There's a rhythm to all this. I can feel it. A pulse, like something's coordinating the silence. First the tech goes, then the structure, then the people, one layer at a time, peeling off like skin. I sat outside the station tonight just listening. No wind, no crickets, just that low mechanical sound again, almost beneath hearing. It came from the west this time, and I realized something. I never hear it in two places at once. It moves, always in one direction, always slow. It's like a patrol, a searchlight that hums instead of shines. I buried the batteries today, the good ones. I don't know what made me do it. I just had this instinct, like they're listening. Not people, the systems, whatever's left of them, whatever's watching the frequencies. I wrapped the batteries in cloth, sealed them in a tin box, and dug a hole behind the transmitter shed. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe the blackout's finally getting to me. But something tells me we're not just living through a collapse. We're living through a transfer. Something else is taking over. Not by force, not with war or plague, just by presence. A quiet replacement. One system shutting down while another comes online in its place. One that doesn't need us. I found another photograph pinned to the station door tonight. No envelope this time. Just a Polaroid stabbed into the wood with a rusted nail. It was a shot of the fire tower. But this time, I wasn't in it. Just the tower. And something on top of it. Some figure. Shadowy, hunched, holding something. I don't know if it's real or doctored or just a trick of the light, but I haven't climbed that tower since 2 days ago. Whatever it was waiting. I've locked the station down as best I can. Furniture stacked against the doors. Windows boarded with whatever scraps I could find. But let's not pretend that matters. If something wants in, it'll get in. This is just theater. This is just a man playing defense against a world that doesn't follow rules anymore. But the mic still works. The red light still glows. The signal still carries, at least as far as the next ridge. And that means I'm not done yet. I'll keep talking until I can't. Because I think that's all that's left of civilization now. People who still speak out loud. People who leave a trail. If you're still out there, write something down. Scratch your name into a tree. Tape a note to a wall. Leave behind proof that you were real. That you breathed. That you waited. And if you're hearing me, stay low. Keep your lights off at night. If your tech starts working again, don't trust it. If your phone buzzes to life, turn it off. Smash it if you have to. Don't let them find you through it. This is Caleb Morgan, holding the last thread of the broadcast, trying not to unravel. If I'm here tomorrow, I'll speak again. And if I'm not, then maybe the silence finally answered back. It's 4:27 a.m. I haven't slept in 3 days now. At least I don't think I have. Time's gotten soft. You know when your body forgets how to track it. You eat because the hunger comes, not because the clock tells you to. You move because the cold makes your joints ache. And sometimes you talk, like I'm doing now, just to remind yourself you still have a voice. Something happened tonight. I need to get it down while it's still fresh. I was outside just after midnight, boiling rainwater over a propane stove. The rain came late, quiet, like a whisper brushing through the trees. I had 5 buckets out, and I sat in the mud, jacket zipped up, hood low, watching the water collect. That's when I saw the light. Not from the sky, not a flare, or a star, or a drone. It came from inside the mountain. I know how that sounds. I do. But it was there. A glow behind the ridge, low, amber, pulsing like a slow heartbeat. The mountain itself looked like it was lit from within. It lasted maybe 30 seconds, then gone. And a few minutes later, the hum came back. Closer this time. Stronger. Like it had teeth. I packed up the stove without finishing and got back inside. I shut the door, sat on the floor, listened. And then, this is the part that really broke something in me. I heard a voice, not through the radio, outside. It said my name. Once. Clear as anything. A man's voice, low and steady. Caleb. Not yelled, not angry. Just spoken. Like it knew I was already listening. I didn't move for a full hour after that. Didn't breathe right. Didn't reach for a weapon. Just sat there with my hands flat against the floor, waiting for something else. Another word, a knock. a shadow, but nothing came. Eventually, I stood up, walked to the door, and opened it. There was no one there. No footprints, no echo, no wind, just silence. But I know what I heard. I know what I heard. I don't know what's happening. I've run through every explanation I can think of. Mass psychological collapse, a long-range EMP event coupled with neurochemical exposure, some experimental AI going rogue. I even tried writing it off as isolation madness, but it's not just me. I'm finding proof, clues, patterns. Like this. Every third house I've passed since day 5 has the power panel outside removed. Like someone opened it and pulled the guts out. Not animals, not looters. Clean work, wires extracted, screws lined up neatly nearby, as if someone or something was harvesting them. Not randomly, strategically. The older the home, the more intact the systems. The newer ones, gutted. No circuits left behind. It's like the infrastructure's being unbuilt, not destroyed. Collected. The more I see, the more I start to think that we're not living through a disaster. Not in the traditional sense. This isn't a storm or a war or a biological outbreak. This is extraction. Of what, I don't know. But it's happening in pieces. Quietly, without resistance. Like the world's being emptied of its wiring before we even understand why. I can't help but wonder what comes after the last signal. What replaces the things we built? Because something's waiting in the absence. I walked to the edge of the ridge today before the light faded. Took the long path through the scrub brush, trying to stay off the roads. You learn real fast out here that open space is dangerous. Not because of people, but because of sight lines. If something sees you, you can't always see it first. I made it to the top, looked down at the valley, and it's not empty anymore. There are lights down there. Scattered, faint, but there. Not firelight, not flashlights. Something colder, steady, and not moving, not blinking. Just sitting in place, like beacons, or markers. I turned around and came back down. Didn't even stop to catch my breath. Whatever's powering those lights, it's not anything we built. I'm starting to believe that there's a system underneath all of this. A rhythm to the breakdown. Day by day, mile by mile, it's reshaping the rules, testing how much silence we can stand before we break. Maybe we're not being watched anymore. Maybe we're being studied, measured, sorted. And maybe the ones who disappeared were just the first test batch. If that's true, then speaking, right now, through this mic, is the only thing I have left. It's a kind of resistance, a refusal to be part of the experiment. I might be the last line of static in the clean sweep. I don't know how long this signal will hold. I haven't heard from Frank in 4 days. I've stopped leaving food at his door. The last time I walked by, the window was covered in foil. A new detail. Someone's still inside. Or something else is. I keep a hand crank battery beside the transmitter now. Takes forever to charge. But every rotation, every drop of sweat, feels like a tiny victory. Like shouting into the void and hearing your own voice come back. Not because someone heard it, but because the void flinched. If I'm gone tomorrow, remember this. It wasn't a failure. It wasn't chaos. It was orchestration. You don't gut a system this carefully without a blueprint. Something out there knows what it's doing, and it doesn't care if we understand it. This is Caleb Morgan, voice worn thin, hands dirty, eyes cracked open wider than they've ever been. Still here, still real, still speaking, for now. It's cold again. The kind of cold that seeps into the bones of the building. The kind that feels personal, like the world's forgotten how to be warm. I'm wrapped in 3 layers, huddled next to the only heater I've got, an old kerosene burner I found in a storage bin behind the county clerk's office. Smells awful, but it works. For now, I'll take poison over frostbite. The power's done. Generator's out. Last can of diesel went dry this morning. I squeezed every last drop into the tank and got 15 minutes of flickering light and 1 half-charged transmission burst. After that, nothing but clicking and a low mechanical whine, the kind that makes you think something's still alive under the floorboards, trying to spin its legs. So I rigged the backup rig, hand-cranked transmitter, shortwave only, AM band, 15 watts if I turn everything else off. It's weak, the kind of signal you'd have to lean into, nose to the speaker, just to catch a word. But it's sound. It's something. I don't even know if you're hearing me anymore. It might just be static to you. But I have to believe that somewhere, someone's got an old radio, batteries still holding, antenna stretched out, and they're hearing this voice crackle out of the dark, like it means something. I haven't seen the sun in 2 days. That's not a metaphor. The sky's gone gray, not cloudy, just flat, like someone pulled a sheet over the atmosphere. No breaks, no shape, just uniform dullness pressing down on everything. And at night, no stars, not one. Not even that quiet orange glow that used to hang on the edge of the horizon. Nothing. I walked out toward the train yard again today. The boxcars haven't moved. A few of them are open now. Pried or cut, I can't tell. Inside one, I found rows of folded clothes, stacked like someone had been sorting them. Men's shirts, women's coats, children's shoes. No labels, just item after item lined up with military precision, like someone was doing inventory on what we used to be. I stayed long enough to feel watched. Then I left. I went north after that, toward the old quarry where the hills start to curl. The roads there are cracked but walkable. Along the edge, I started seeing things carved into the concrete. Not words, symbols, patterns, circles inside circles, a handprint, 2 arrows pointing toward nothing. I don't think people put them there, and if they did, I don't think they knew why. Found a pair of binoculars hanging from a fence post, clean, still warm from the sun that's no longer there. Picked them up, scanned the horizon, and for a second, I swear on everything I have left, I saw movement. Not animal, not human. Tall, thin, moving like it didn't quite belong in this world, almost flickering. Like when you try to film an old CRT screen and the refresh rate doesn't match. It blinked across the quarry ridge once, paused, turned, and then gone. Just gone. I sat on the ground for a long time after that. Not crying, not shaking, just still. My heart didn't even race. It was like I'd already seen something like it before in a dream I'd forgotten. Like my mind didn't even fight it. That's the part that scared me most. It didn't feel impossible. It felt overdue. I've stopped hearing birds. They used to chatter in the mornings, even after the collapse. I'd wake up to crows arguing over rooftops or starlings diving in the wire gutters. But now, nothing. No wings, no calls. Just that pressure in the air, that weight of listening. The humming hasn't stopped. It's quieter now, but deeper. Less like machinery, more like a breath beneath the surface. I hear it in the walls, in the static. I even started hearing it inside my head. Not voices, not exactly. Just pressure. Patterns. You start to learn its rhythm, if you listen long enough. And I've been listening too long. I think they're syncing with us. Maybe not the way we understand syncing. Not Bluetooth, not frequency, not neural links. Something older, more primal. Something that watches how we adapt and mimics it back. You ever hear of echopraxia? It's a neurological thing. People involuntarily mimic the movements or behaviors of others. I wonder if what's out there is doing that with our systems, our structures, our minds. I wonder if it started by learning how to shut us down, and now it's figuring out how to wear us. I haven't looked in a mirror since that night I saw the reflection blink. I covered it, just draped a towel over the glass and turned it to the wall. Whatever's behind the glass, it isn't me anymore. The mountain hasn't lit up again, but I don't think it needs to. I think it already did what it came to do. There's a pressure front moving in from the east. You can feel it in your jaw, the way your teeth buzz slightly, like metal reacting to a change in altitude. But there's no storm on the way, no thunder, no rain, just a soundless build. And I think that's what this is all leading toward. Not a climax, not an invasion, a culmination, a quiet folding inward. The systems we lived by, power, communication, transportation, finance, food, they weren't just failing. They were being replaced, one node at a time. And the new system? It doesn't run on wires or oil or protocols. It runs on something else. Attention maybe, intention, presence, and silence. This is Caleb Morgan, still speaking, still marking the time, still making noise in the face of a world that wants to turn mute. I'll be back tomorrow, unless the mirror speaks first. It's just after 5 a.m. I haven't dared to shut my eyes since the mirror moved. Yeah, I know how that sounds. I've been trying not to say it out loud because the second you say something like that, the mirror moved. Your own voice starts turning against you, starts sounding like someone else's. But I need to say it, because pretending I didn't see it doesn't change what happened. It was maybe 3 hours ago. I was pacing the booth, trying to stay warm, turning the crank on the backup transmitter while thinking through where I'd go next for fuel. There's still a chance that the truck yard a few miles past the bluff might have reserves. Most of those rigs ran on diesel. If I could get into one, siphon the tanks, maybe I could power the main system for one more real broadcast. Maybe. Anyway, I turned around, and that towel I threw over the mirror was on the floor. It didn't slide. It didn't get pulled off by wind. It was folded neatly, placed, sitting right at the base of the wall, like someone had peeled it back deliberately, like it wanted to be seen again. So I looked, and the thing staring back, it had my face. But it wasn't me. Not exactly. It blinked slower. It breathed differently. Its pupils were just a little too wide, even in low light, and it smiled, just barely. Not malicious, not friendly, just a slow curl of the lips like it knew something I hadn't figured out yet. I backed away and didn't break eye contact. I waited until its expression faded. Then I hung a thick black blanket over it and nailed it into the drywall. Whatever that was, it's not coming back out. Not tonight. I can't tell if this is psychological. Stress-induced hallucination. Lack of sleep. whatever chemicals my brain's trying to make up for with adrenaline and fear. But it felt real, and I've been through enough weirdness lately to know the difference between dreams and warnings. I think we're being mimicked in slow, deliberate stages. First our infrastructure, then our routines, now our images. Tomorrow, our thoughts. I found a burned phone today, not smashed, burned, like it had melted from the inside out. The back was curled like it had been cooked, and the screen had liquefied across the dashboard it was sitting on. No signs of fire anywhere else. Just the phone, sitting there like it had screamed once, then gone silent forever. And inside the phone case was a photograph, printed, one of those little square ones from portable printers. A man and a woman, arms around each other, standing in front of an old house. Brick, ivy, fall leaves on the ground. No caption, just a red circle drawn in marker over one of the second-story windows. That window was dark, completely black. Too black. It wasn't part of the house or the photo. It was something inside it, something watching from the past. I folded the photo and tucked it into the transmitter manual. I've started hiding things like that. Symbols. Clues. If someone finds this place later, if I don't make it out, I want them to know what happened. I want them to see the drift for themselves. The slow unraveling of everything we thought was solid. I took another walk today, northwest, past the hill with the broken gas line and the overturned utility truck. I climbed up to the overlook where you can see the edge of town and the railway beyond. That's when I noticed something new. There's a shape in the woods, not moving, but growing. It wasn't there yesterday. It's tall, maybe 30 feet, black, not reflective, just present, like a monolith or a pylon, but wrong, slightly warped, like a shadow was trying to become solid and didn't quite understand how. I don't know if it was built or if it arrived. I didn't get close. I sat on the ridge for an hour with binoculars just watching, trying to convince myself it was a tree or a trick of the light or some warped billboard no one took down. But the longer I looked, the more certain I became that it wasn't a structure. It was a signal, a response to something we said long ago and forgot about. I think something answered back, and I think it's building a home here. Piece by piece, I haven't seen another person in 6 days now. Not even a shape in the distance. Just signs. Just the aftermath. It's like the world is in a holding pattern, waiting for a decision to be made about us. Whether we stay or disappear like everyone else. There are burn marks near the edge of the lake. Long, straight lines, like something massive slid in and out of the water. No splashes, no tracks, just scorched grass and silence. I don't go near there anymore. The birds that used to nest in the reeds, gone. The fish, floating, wide-eyed, still. Something about that place feels finished, like the experiment ended early. I dream in static now. No colors, just gray noise and half faces and long corridors with lights that never turn on. I wake up sweating, clutching the radio mic like it's a lifeline, like if I stop talking, I'll slip under too. So I keep speaking. I tell the dark what I've seen. I whisper the coordinates. I recite the facts. I name the sounds, because if I don't, maybe I get rewritten too. Maybe I wake up and there's something else in my skin. Something that smiles too long. This is Caleb Morgan, still transmitting, still fighting gravity, static, and whatever's creeping in through the cracks. If you're listening, stay away from the woods. cover your mirrors. Don't respond to your name if you hear it whispered and you're alone. That voice isn't yours, and it never was. It's morning, I think. The sky hasn't shifted color in over 24 hours. It just stays that pale, washed-out gray like paper left out in the rain. No sun, no moon, no transitions. Just this endless twilight that makes you question whether anything's moving anymore. Time, light, yourself. I spent most of the night under the desk, blanket over my head like a child waiting for a storm to pass. The mirror stayed covered, but I kept thinking I heard tapping from behind the wall. Not loud, just the kind of sound that's soft enough to get into your head. Tap, tap, pause, tap, tap. It stopped around 3 a.m., the exact moment the generator kicked once, without fuel, without being touched. Just one dry heave of the engine like something tried to turn it on. I haven't touched it since. Earlier this afternoon, I walked back to the gas station. I didn't want to, but I needed to know. Needed to check the batteries I stashed behind the ice machine. And the moment I got close, I knew something was wrong. The entire front window was shattered, glass everywhere, not exploded outward, sucked inward, like a vacuum pulled the whole facade inside the building. The soda fridge was empty. Every bottle lined up in a perfect row across the counter, unopened. Labels all facing the same direction. That's not how people loot. That's not how people behave. I took 2 steps in and saw it. On the wall behind the cashier's booth, written in deep black strokes, grease pen or oil or maybe something worse, was a question. Are you still yourself? I didn't answer. I backed out slowly, and I didn't look at the mirror above the lottery display. I didn't want to see what might be looking back. I made it halfway home before I realized something was following me. I didn't hear it. I didn't see it. I just felt it. Like my shadow wasn't mine anymore. Every time I turned, the world would hold its breath. Birds, gone, no wind, no branches creaking, just a perfect surgical silence. Not natural, engineered. I didn't run. I didn't even walk faster. I just kept my pace and whispered into the air. I see you. Whatever it was, it stopped. For now. Back at the shack, I've barricaded the rear door, reinforced the studio window with leftover plywood and wire fencing, not because I think it'll keep anything out, but because it gives my hands something to do. There's power in pretending we can still build defenses. I've started seeing shapes at the edge of my vision, not hallucinations, not ghosts, just outlines. Empty clothes walking past the tree line, street signs tilting the wrong way, glimpses of faces and reflections that vanish before the eye can focus. I think they're testing us, whatever they are, probing the walls of our understanding to see what breaks first, our minds or our memories. You ever heard a silence that hurts? I mean that literally. The kind that presses behind your eyes, makes your eardrums ache like they're collapsing inward. That's what it felt like around 2 a.m. today, like something passed over this place and took all the sound with it. Not just air noise, internal noise, thoughts, breath. I don't know how long it lasted, but when it lifted, I had tears in my eyes and blood in my mouth from biting my tongue without knowing it. They're getting closer, more precise, more curious. I flipped on the receiver an hour ago just to make sure I wasn't imagining it. Turned the dial slowly, every frequency, AM to shortwave. One signal, clear as day. Repeating. It wasn't Morse. It wasn't a voice. It was a tone. A long, steady pulse that rose and fell like a heartbeat. Too slow to be mechanical. Too steady to be human. It wasn't trying to communicate. It was announcing. I followed it. Tracked it through the interference. And I pinpointed it. 89.7 FM. A dead station. Or it used to be. Now it's just that tone, rising and falling like a breath, broadcast on loop. I left it running. Sometimes I talk over it just to see if it reacts. So far it doesn't. But I know it hears me. Because every time I stop speaking, the pulse slows. Like it's disappointed. Like it's waiting. I'm not sleeping anymore. I've stopped pretending that's an option. The dreams aren't dreams. They're instructions. They show me diagrams, maps with no roads, schematics that unfold like origami made of thought. I wake up exhausted, heart racing, fingers twitching like I've been typing in my sleep. There are words scratched into the inside of my forearm. I don't remember doing it. Not deep. Just with a pen. But they're there. You were always meant to hear this. What does that mean? What am I hearing? What have I always been hearing? I don't have answers. But I have this voice. And this signal. And this promise. As long as I can hold the mic, as long as I can force this transmitter to cough static out into the dark, I will keep talking. Even if no one's listening. Especially if no one's listening. Because silence is what they want. Stillness is what they need. And I refuse. This is Caleb Morgan. Transmitting from the last signal tower on the edge of the known. Still myself. For now. It's nearly 6 a.m., if that still means anything. The air's gotten heavy. Too still for this altitude. It's the kind of weight you feel in your throat, like the atmosphere is thicker than it should be. The shack creaks like it's sinking an inch every hour. I put a line of nails through the floorboards just to remind myself what's real. It didn't help. I walked to the edge of town again this morning. Had to see if the monolith was still there. It was. But something's changed. It's not alone anymore. There are 4 now, arranged in a circle, perfect distance between each one. Same height, same shape, same black surface that doesn't reflect a single thing, not even the sky. But what got me was the ground around them, burned clean. No grass, no soil, no insects, just raw stone, like the earth itself got peeled back and cauterized, and right in the center of the circle, someone, or something, dug a hole. Not wide, not deep, but precise. The edges smoothed and carved like a mouth waiting for a word. I didn't get closer than 50 feet. My chest got tight the second I crossed the ditch. Not fear, pressure. Like something inside me wanted to walk forward, and something else inside me screamed not to. It was the first time since this started that I felt both urges at once. I backed away. But before I left, I spotted something lying in the grass near the fence. A shoe. Children's size. Red. Velcro strap. One torn lace tied around the tongue. It was still warm. I don't know if the kid was nearby. I don't know if there was ever a kid, but I didn't take the shoe. I left it right where it was. Someone should see it. Someone should know that something small was once here. On the way back, I passed the old motel on Ridgeview, windows blown out, furniture gutted. But there was music coming from inside. Software tinny, one of those old wind-up music boxes, playing something sad and slow. I stood outside and listened. No footsteps, No voices, just that music, playing itself to death one key at a time. It's like the world is rehearsing for something, like it's laying out props, staging the quiet before the curtain rises. And I don't know what the show is, but I don't think we're the stars anymore. I got back and noticed something else. The words scratched on my arm. They're gone. Not faded. Not washed away. Gone. Like they were never there. I stared at the skin for 10 minutes, trying to remember exactly where the letters were. There's nothing now. No scar. No indentation. But I still remember what they said. You were always meant to hear this. I've started recording everything on tape, not digital, not hard drives. Old Maxell cassettes I found in a forgotten box under the console. Most of them are labeled things like Sunday Mix and Dad's Favorites. I'm taping over all of it. Don't feel bad. The people who made those mixes are long gone. If you ever find these tapes, if you ever stumble across this booth with its cables strung like spiderwebs and its antenna bent by wind and time, just know, I was here. I spoke. I stayed human. I didn't fold. The light's been strange lately. Even when there's none, it feels like there is. You'll catch a flicker in the corner of your eye, a shimmer in the air like heat rising off pavement. But it's cold here, below freezing. So whatever's moving in the light isn't weather. It's something else. I saw a man today. First human being I've laid eyes on in over a week. He was standing in the middle of the road, wearing jeans, gray hoodie, no shoes, just standing, arms limp at his sides, head tilted back, eyes shut. I called out to him. He didn't flinch. I got closer. 20 feet, 10, still nothing. Then his lips moved. He said one word, clear as anything. Transmit. Then he dropped. No sound, no resistance. Just dropped like a puppet cut from its strings. When I got to him, he was breathing. But his eyes, they weren't right, not glazed, not blind. Just looking at something I couldn't see. And when I shook his shoulders, his jaw moved again. He whispered, "It's all signal now." I left him there, covered him in a blanket, wrote the word "alive" on a scrap of cardboard, and left it beside him in case someone else comes. If that even means anything anymore. Because maybe he's right. Maybe everything left is signal. Not just sound or light, but thought, memory, identity. Maybe we're being converted, one person at a time, synced into something we never asked to join. That hum? Still here, still pacing. I hear it change pitch depending on what I say. When I speak the word darkness, it rises. When I whisper stop, it flattens. I don't know if it's mimicking me or training me, but I'll keep pushing back. Every word I say that doesn't match its rhythm is a rebellion. This is Caleb Morgan, unplugged, undone, unfinished. Still on this frequency. Still more human than the silence. For now. It's 6:47 a.m. I think I slept, just for a few minutes, slumped in the chair with my head against the mic. I woke up to a sound I can't explain. Not quite static, not quite a voice. It was low and layered, like 10 people whispering all at once, saying different things, but somehow in perfect rhythm. And the worst part, I understood none of it and all of it at the same time. It's getting harder to describe what's happening here. Not because there's nothing to say, but because reality doesn't feel like it's lining up right anymore. The world's still solid, sure. Walls, ground, my breath turning to frost in the air. But the space between those things, it feels stretched, like something's folding us from the edges inward. The forest line to the east has changed. It's thicker now, not in the number of trees, but the way they're packed. Almost like someone moved them closer together. I know that sounds ridiculous. Trees don't shift like that. But they did. There's a path I used to take toward the ridge, right between the ash and spruce, and now there's no path. Just a wall of trunks, tangled and pressed together like they grew overnight. I walked around the edge, trying to find another way through. And that's when I saw it. A light, but not shining. It was resting in the air, maybe 5 feet off the ground. A sphere, perfectly round, faintly glowing, dimmer than a candle. Pale blue, hovering without a sound. I should have backed away. Instead, I stepped closer. The air got warmer. Not hot, just oddly comfortable, like a summer night before a storm. And the closer I got, the more the silence around me seemed to deepen. No crunch of snow, no breath, no heartbeat, just the hum. That damn hum threading through everything. I reached my hand out, and it blinked out of existence. No sound, no recoil, just gone. I stood there in the stillness for I don't know how long. Then I turned around and came back to the station, but I could feel something following. Not a body, not steps, just pressure, like walking through fog you can't see but know is there. Back here now, everything feels a little off. The station is the same. I checked every inch. Doors locked, wires intact, gear untouched. But it's like it remembers I left. Like the walls are colder, the air less forgiving. I think the station's listening too. I think it's always been listening. The 89.7 signal is stronger now, clearer. The tone shifted. It rises and falls like breath, yes. But now there's something beneath it, something almost musical, like a pattern. I've been recording it on loop, listening back with headphones, and when I reverse it, it sounds like laughter. Low, crooked, distant, not joyful, not human. I don't know what that means. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. I found a notebook behind the file cabinet today. Not mine. I've never seen it before. Leather bound, pages yellowed. On the front, Data Log 3. Inside, fragments, observations, sketches of towers, grids, waveforms. Some of the entries are written like field notes. One line stood out. They mimic signal. They don't build, only overwrite. Once they find your pattern, they replace you. I don't know who wrote that, but I believe it. Maybe that's what the mirror thing was. Not a hallucination, not a dream, a rehearsal, a trial version, a beta test of something meant to step in when I'm gone. Maybe it doesn't need to kill me, just learn me. I've started sleeping in shifts, if you can call it that. 10 minutes here, 5 there. I keep the mic on, always. And I talk, even if I'm mumbling, even if it's nonsense. I figure if the signal's trying to learn me, I might as well confuse the hell out of it. Mix it up, keep my rhythm crooked, stay unpredictable, because maybe that's the only way to stay mine. The generator hasn't made a sound in 2 days, and yet somehow the mic still carries a charge. I haven't questioned it. I should, but I won't. Maybe the station's drawing power from something else now. Maybe I've already crossed some kind of threshold where the rules don't apply. Or maybe I'm the battery now. I check my pulse every few hours, just to make sure it's still there. So far, it is. But my heart doesn't sound right anymore. It beats in twos. Dum-dum. Pause. Dum-dum. Pause. Like it's syncing with something just beneath the floorboards. Like there's another rhythm moving through me. I still haven't seen Frank. His trailer's dark. But sometimes, just before dawn, I see smoke from the chimney. No firelight. No movement. Just a thread of smoke, steady, like a signal of its own. I'm not sure if he's still Frank. I don't know what I'd do if I knocked and someone else opened the door wearing his name. I think we're all being edited, not erased, modified, upgraded, maybe, but not for our benefit. If you're hearing this, wherever you are, you have to start writing things down, with your hands, pen and paper. Don't trust your memory. Don't trust your reflection. Don't trust the voice that sounds like yours when you talk to yourself in the dark. That voice might not be you anymore. This is Caleb Morgan. Still stubborn, still transmitting, still off rhythm. Don't sink. Whatever you do, don't sink. It's 7:38 a.m., and I swear, just for a second, the sky blinked. It wasn't lightning, no clouds, no sound, just one flash of something. Not white, not even light really, but absence. A full-frame negative. Everything in the landscape turned inside out for a heartbeat. Trees became silhouettes, the horizon bent in on itself, and the shadows pointed the wrong direction. Then it was over. Like the world glitched. Like a system reset, and I was just barely awake enough to notice it. I'm not sure if I was supposed to. Since then, things haven't felt right. And I know I've been saying that a lot. But this time, it's not just a feeling. There are differences. I walked out to the truck stop again just now. The one that used to have that broken neon sign. The letters EA open, flickering weakly before everything went out. And the building's there, but the sign isn't. Not broken, not removed. It's like it was never there. The wall is smooth. No bolts, no wiring, no holes. Just clean aluminum siding. But I remember it. I know it existed. I've been past it every day for 2 weeks. So why is it gone now? More importantly, what else have I forgotten? There's a notebook I've been keeping. Not the tapes, not the broadcasts. Just a small, spiral-bound pad I write thoughts in, by hand, when the radio's off. I flipped through it this morning. My handwriting's there, but there are entire pages I don't remember writing. Sentences that loop. Names I don't know. One entry says, "Don't respond to the knock. It's already inside." I don't remember writing that, but it's in my handwriting. Another page just says, "What year is it really?" And here's the thing. I couldn't answer that right away. My mouth opened and I said, 20. And then I stopped. I couldn't finish the sentence, not because I forgot, but because I suddenly wasn't sure it mattered. I think time broke. I think whatever this is, this replacement, this replication, this quiet remapping of our world, it doesn't need time. That was our system, our measurement. It's not using it anymore. It's wiping away the old coordinates, replacing them with whatever this is. Pillars, tones, faces that almost look like ours. Almost. I walked past a mirror in the old diner today, cracked, stained, but still hanging by a single screw over the counter. I didn't mean to look. It just caught me as I passed. My reflection blinked twice. twice, but I didn't. I stood there for a while, just watching myself not match me. I waited to catch it again, waited for the twitch, the delay, the giveaway. But it was smooth, smoother than I remembered. It smiled when I didn't. I threw a salt shaker at it. Glass exploded everywhere. I didn't clean it up. I left the diner and didn't look back. I think the reflections are versions, not hallucinations, not ghosts, but prototypes. What comes after the human part is done. What's left when memory stops syncing with physical space? We were always too connected. That's what keeps coming back in my head. Not as a warning, but as a conclusion. We built the perfect blueprint for something to come in and walk around inside us. Every habit, every thought, every word broadcasted, recorded, tagged, linked, repeated. We made mirrors so perfect they didn't need us anymore. I found another photo, pinned to the side of the station, under the antenna bracket. This time, it was me, standing in the booth, mic to mouth, eyes closed. But I've never closed my eyes while broadcasting. Not once. And in the reflection of the studio glass behind me, another version of me. Outside, watching, holding something small, square, maybe a recorder, maybe a remote. I don't know. I didn't bring the photo inside. I buried it, along with the others, deep under the dead tree where the transmitter cable used to run before the backup line. Maybe it won't matter. Maybe they've already copied everything they need. But burying it felt like a boundary, like drawing a line in the dirt and saying, "Not this." I've got a theory now, one that keeps growing louder every time I speak. This isn't a blackout. This isn't a war. This is a migration. Something's moving in, and we're the shell it's using. I think that's what the tones are. The ones on 89.7. The ones behind the hum and the static. They're not messages. They're measurements. Echoes bouncing back to something we can't perceive, telling it what's left, what's hollow, what's ready. I keep broadcasting because maybe being noisy keeps me human. Maybe as long as I resist falling into the rhythm, as long as my sentences twist and break and contradict, I stay out of whatever pattern they're building. Because if there's one thing I've learned in all this, it's that whatever they're doing, they need you to match. They need you to sync. That's why the tone slows when I speak. That's why the reflections study me so closely. They're listening for the moment when I start repeating myself. Because repetition means obedience, and obedience means replacement. I am not ready to be replaced. This is Caleb Morgan, still on this signal, still tangled in wires and stubbornness, still broken in all the right ways. If you're listening, scramble everything, switch your routines, speak backwards, talk nonsense to your shadows. Keep moving, because stillness is consent, and silence is surrender. It's sometime after 8 a.m. There's no way to know exactly. My watch stopped at 7:19 and hasn't moved since. The battery's new, or it was, before all this. I tapped the face a few times, shook it, even opened the back with a screwdriver and checked the mechanism. Nothing wrong, just frozen. Like time passed it by. Like it's not part of the world anymore. The tone on 89.7 is louder now. Louder than it's ever been. I don't even need the receiver on anymore. I hear it in the walls. I hear it in the floor. Sometimes I swear it's in the spaces between my teeth. It's a pressure more than a sound, a frequency so low it sinks into your chest, then stays there, humming beneath your heartbeat like it's waiting for you to match. But I won't. I keep talking. I talk even when I'm not broadcasting now. Just out loud, to myself, to the walls, to the wind. Narrating every move like a lunatic with no audience. Opening the cabinet, checking for food, nope, nothing but rusted cans and one half-dead rat trap. Standing up, walking 5 steps left. I do this because I think the silence notices when I stop. I think it starts closing in when there's no voice filling the room. I was outside earlier, cutting through the alley near the old print shop. Used to be a mural there. Bright, ugly thing with children's handprints and stars and slogans like "Reach Higher" and "We Are One." It's gone now, scrubbed clean, like it was never painted at all. The bricks are too perfect, the seams too smooth. It's as if the wall reset itself, not painted over, rewritten, erased from the building like a line of bad code. That's what this feels like now. Like the world's a corrupted hard drive slowly being reformatted. Buildings are still standing, but they're different. Proportions are off. Doors slightly narrower. Windows placed higher than they should be. It's subtle, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. The grocery store on 9th had 3 checkout lanes. Always. For 20 years. Now it has 4. 4th one's spotless. No wear on the plastic belt. No scratches on the scanner. No gum stuck under the counter. Like it was just installed yesterday. But nobody installed it. And behind the register? A mannequin. That's what I told myself it was. A figure. Smooth. Pale. No face. Just standing there. In the dim light. Arms by its sides, motionless. But I could feel it watching. I didn't go inside. I turned around and walked straight back here. Closed the door, locked it, even though the lock's more of a joke than anything. Sat in this chair, mic in my lap, just breathing for a while, trying to slow my thoughts, trying to remember the exact sound of my own name when someone else used to say it. You ever think about that? How different your name sounds when it comes from someone you love. Softer. Looser around the vowels. It's been weeks since I heard anyone say my name except the voice outside the booth that night. And that voice wasn't mine. And it wasn't love. I've been thinking about the disappearances. How clean they've been. How quiet. People didn't die. They didn't scream. There were no fights in the street. No bodies in the gutters. No clothes shredded and left behind. Just gaps. Places where someone was and then wasn't. And no one to remember they were ever there. That's the worst part. The forgetting. I found a photo in my jacket today. Me and someone else. A woman. I don't know her name. I don't know why we're smiling. I don't even remember the place. But we're happy. That part's real. You can't fake that kind of joy, not even in a photo. But my mind is blank. I stared at her face for an hour. Nothing came back. Not even a flicker. And I think that's part of the process. That's the erasure happening on the inside. Not just to places and time, but to meaning. They're not just deleting the structures. They're deleting the context. So even if we survive, we won't remember why it mattered. Even if we resist, we'll forget what we're resisting for. That's why I'm recording all of this. That's why I speak every day. Even when I don't know if anyone's left to hear it. Because this voice, this signal, is proof that I existed, that something happened, that someone knew. If you find this station, if you're hearing this transmission weeks, months, years from now, don't trust the buildings. Don't trust the streets. Don't trust the way the sunlight hits the ground and tells you it's safe. Look for the flaws. Look for the breaks in the pattern. And when you hear the tone, don't follow it. Turn the other way. Run if you can. Speak if you can't. They can't match you if you stay unpredictable. That's the trick. That's the code they can't crack. Stay messy. Stay wrong. Stay human. This is Caleb Morgan. Still in my skin. Still fighting the drift. Still talking. Even when my own voice feels like it's not entirely mine anymore. Don't stop. Even when the world forgets you. Keep speaking. Because that's the last thing they haven't figured out how to steal.